I'm Henry Pitzer, and this is Disney Channel. I'm sorry, I just had to do it.
This seat sucks.
You remember where to rev it to? It'll go,
Let's see.
bring it to that X. What's up, guys? I'm pretty much here just to bridge the gap between the last video and this video, kind of give you a few stories of what really has been happening and take it from there. So we left off at pretty much the point where I blew up the car, right? Pretty much?
Yes.
Okay. The first time? Okay. So where we left off at the first time, basically, I've had the car since I was 15. My whole reason of getting this car was I wanted something that I can share times with my friends. So it had to be 4 doors. It had to be rear-wheel drive. And I really like 2Js. So I kind of gave us a couple of options. Obviously, I chose the lightest one because I like it. My brother's into S2000s and ended up recommending this kind of car. Ended up just going with it. And I got this car with 55,000 miles, limited slip, sport design, 1 of 41 with the interior combo, factory manual, and all this stuff. I got a bone stock and then just kind of took it from there. Did all the stuff, meaning from like getting it ready for power, because eventually I knew I was gonna turbo it or just swap it. And I did suspension, brakes, wheels, all the surrounding stuff around. Did seats, you know, just how a build comes together. Basically just getting it all ready for power. And when I believe this was right after freshman year of college, I ended up securing a 1JZ PVTi with the Drift Motion 62 on it, a Power FC, and then I also got the R154 with that deal, and just a ton of IS stuff, IS 1J stuff. I lucked out. It was back when 1Js were, and JZs in general, were cheap. I paid $4 grand for everything, which is awesome. It's probably $10,000 worth of stuff. Shout out to my boy for doing all that. He actually wrecked his wagon, and I took all the stuff from it. Got that started, so I got it end of freshman year. By winter of sophomore year of college, I was putting it together with the guys. We were in the garage, like you saw, my buddy Joe Grogan's house, with all the boys: Joe, Will, Noah, Nick, Cole, Anthony Ferrugio, the Grogans, both Frank and Joe. Everybody was there. It was such a great time. I gave everybody a job. I gave them a beer and said, okay, here's a job. Here's some sandpaper. Go hit my valve covers. We spent time. It was great because everyone had got a little bit to learn about. And I thought that was super fun. I funded it all with my silly project money. It's raining pretty good. We basically start spending every single day of this winter break. I'm off from college. All the guys are off from college. Getting up at 6 a.m. and just breaking down the motor, getting it ready to just go in the car. Pulled the motor out of this. It was the NA2J that came from the factory. Broke down the 1J, kind of made sure everything looked good, cleaned it up, made it the trans back up, got it all together, and got it ready to go in. Pretty much got it in, did the whole thing. You guys saw this all last episode. All leading up to get it running. It's great. It was running on a Pexi Power FC at the time. Super old dated technology, and it was on MAF still. So you know, just every little thing is going to give an issue. If I have boost leaks, air leaks, whatever. I brought it to Empire for fab work. Goku did all my fab work at the time. Love you, Jay. Shout out, you're my homie. Morris I actually got the car running for the first time. So Morris got it running for the first time, drove it home. Everything was good. It overheated a little bit on the way home because I didn't wire up the fans and they never came on. I was 18 or 19, so I was learning everything as I go. I'm still learning. Everybody's still learning in this industry, I think. I don't know everything. No one knows everything. And I can't wait to just keep learning more and more and more about this whole thing. But at the time, you know, I didn't know a ton. But I was willing to try, and I was willing to fail to learn. And got it brought home. Everything was good. Ended up getting the fans wired up all together. Everything worked. I never tuned it. It was tuned already. I had a base map on it. I put a giant intercooler on it. It wasn't tuned for on its previous setup, so lots more air flowing through the deal. And JZs don't like to be leaned out. Not enough fuel, and basically we took it for a ride. I was like, damn, it's time. Let's do it. Let's go for a ride. Go on. This is actually back home in Long Island, and we took it on Seaford Oyster Bay, right off of Sunrise, getting onto the highway, and I see like a truck behind us, and one of the guys, or like a van, one of the guys in the car was like, yo, there's a dude videoing behind you. And I was like, cool. All right, let's do like a little pull. And we get ready to get loaded up, do a pull. I believe I'm in second at the time. Go to run through second, go to third. As soon as I hit third, you know, it was probably a second after I hit third. And immediately I'm like, oh, the trans broke. So I pulled off, and the guy ended up getting the video, right? So he comes around, Amar, he comes around from the other side of the fence, tons of smoke. You know, I blew a tennis ball sized hole on either side of the block. That sucked. That was a hell of a learning experience. I'm sure you saw by how down I was at the end of that previous video. I walked around in those sweatpants for like a week. I didn't do shit, man. That was a sad time. Crazy part of that is that dude that ended up taking the video ended up buying an IS300 and 1J swapping it. Who watches somebody blow up their car and say, I want to do that? You're a wild dude. Basically sat there for another 4 hours waiting for a truck, and end of that. Went back to college, and obviously this thing is just a freaking paperweight at that point. Went back to college and just searched. Ended up finding a short block in Florida. Had that short block. He was going to New York for some reason. Ended up just perfectly just dropping it off at my shop. Dropped off the short block there, and then every week, like at least 2 to 3 times a month, I went to school in Buffalo for engineering, and I flew back every like 3 times a month. I took the train back a few times. I hitched rides with friends to keep getting parts and start piecing this motor together. I ended up doing great. So by the time that I got back from this semester, which was like May around, I had all the parts, the motor was together, and it was just time to put it in. By June 13th, it was tuned. Everything was great. Made 440 wheel, and Felix Medina tuned it. And this time it was on AEM V2. I got a DZOD V2 kit, and that was awesome. That's still what's on it now. Why, if it's not broken, why fix it? So had that, the 440 wheel horsepower setup was amazing. It was on just map car. It was awesome. Full 1J, and I got to really do everything I wanted to do with it. Start fresh. I got to start powder coating stuff. You know, like as a kid in college, obviously I didn't have a ton of money, but I made it work. Every time that I saw a deal, I bought something. Every time I would just scour the forums 24/7. Forums, Facebook, whatever. Friends. Made a ton of friends doing this, and got all the parts that I wanted. I drove this car probably, I don't know, 10 times back between Buffalo and Long Island. It's an 8-hour drive. 1J swapped, mind you. I put a lot of miles on this thing 1J swapped. I probably put 40,000 miles on it. It was amazing. I would do track days. I would go to Toronto Motorsports Park like once a month about. We'd go Wednesdays or Fridays, and there was $80 for open lapping. I'm sure there's a video in my YouTube somewhere about that. It was $80 for open lapping. It was so cool. Go to Toronto, have a day. I'd go to the drag strip, Lancaster drag strip, which is 15 minutes away from where I lived in Buffalo. And it was $5 for passes. We would just go out with like my friends and do that. And then I drove it probably to Oswego 20 or 30 times. That's another 2-hour drive. My girlfriend lived in Oswego, or I went to school in Oswego, and I would just go back and forth all the time, you know, and it was such like commuter everywhere. It sounded great. Everybody loved it. I love this car. So then I ended up I saw the show a couple months before it came to fruition. Rob Ferretti, Matt Farah, and Amelia were announcing this show. I was like, that's pretty cool. Sounds like everything that I'm about, you know, home-built race cars, home-built stuff that, you know, might be able to like handle lots of time. And I'm like, this car can do that. And I was very impressed with what I had put together. I was on a budget with my friends. It was amazing. And I wrote that all down. I was like, guys, like, this is cool. A couple months go by, I hear really nothing. And then now this is right before my birthday, before my 21st birthday. I'm 20 at the time. Just before that, I did my first drift day in the car in Buffalo. Gary had me come out with Gary, Ian, Max, and the boys. And then I had a drift day with it. We had some spares that Gary lent me for the event. It was a great time. Really got to learn the car a lot further, and that's what got me hooked, and that's why I bought the LSS 14, which will be the next build project. Psych! So that I can keep this thing away from walls. And I did the drift day, 9 hours of drifting, 2 hours away in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then I drove it back to Buffalo. That was such a great time. Parked it. Then that Wednesday, and I was like on a Saturday. That Wednesday, I went to the drag strip with it for a class. I went for road vehicle dynamics, and you know, it was just cool because it was like a field trip. You know, and Gary in his S2000 with our teacher, Dr. Estes, in the passenger seat, and me and Tyler Jacobowski were in my car on the drag strip. And I mean, this thing wouldn't hook for shit at the time, so I just dumped the clutch and went. It had a blown turbo gasket, so it was super laggy. But I still got to watch Gary. Not much of a win at 2000 versus 400 horsepower IS, but it was cool. Then that was that. Got home, parked it. Now my 21st birthday, mind you, is on Saturday. My buddies came into town to come and hang out for my 21st birthday. So now at this point, it's parked as of Wednesday. Come back to it Thursday. Go to turn it on to pick them up from the airport. It's missing. I'm like, great. Okay, so I order coil packs and I order I just put plugs and coil packs. They were supposed to be here Tuesday in Buffalo. They were supposed to be there Tuesday. So I was like, okay, great. Like, I had nothing to be ready for. Doesn't matter. Fast forward to Friday. Everyone's there. We're at the dinner. I'm zonked out, like a little drunk, during the day Friday. And actually, this is Saturday. Sorry. It's Saturday. Pretty zonked out. We're just chilling. I got a random phone call from a random number, and obviously I pick up my phone almost all the time. Could be something random, and I'm like, hello, expecting some stupid whatever. It's like, hey man, this is Rob Ferretti. I'm like, hello, hi, I'm Henry. Meet you, man. He's like, hey man, I got this show for you. I really think that you'd be great for it. Can you make it to West Palm Beach, Florida by Monday? It's Saturday. My car's misfiring, and the part's supposed to be here Tuesday. And I'm like, can I call you back? He was like, yeah, man, of course. The rest of the day goes by. I'm talking about it with everybody. Everyone's like, just go, dude. I don't care what you have to do. Just go. And I'm like, okay. This is kind of the beginning of COVID at this time. And so I had a lot of remote classes, or everything was going remote. So I was like, I can actually do this. I can still do class. I can still do everything I need to do. And I can go to freaking Sorted or Not against all these crazy cars in Florida. I just have to start driving now. So I call Rob back and I'm like, hey man, I'm in. And he's like, okay, how are you going to get the car down there? And I'm like, I'm going to drive it. I can't afford transport. I'm going to drive it. He's like, well, really? I'm like, yeah, I don't really have another way to get there. And he's like, well, that's fucking awesome. Cool, see you there. I'm like, great. Sunday rolls around. By the grace of God, the coil packs and spark plugs show up. So I'm like, awesome. So we me and Ian, I'm like, hey Ian, love you, Ian. Hey Ian, I'm like, bro, you want to go to Florida for a TV show with me? And he's like, okay. No one I know would just be like, yeah, sure, man, I'll drop everything. You're the best. Go to his house. We do plugs and coil packs, and it runs fine. And we're like, well, we could probably just go, right? And he's like, yeah, let's go to my apartment and let's go get some stuff, get my clothes, or get ready, and we'll go. Fast forward to 10 p.m. that night, Sunday night. We're pretty much ready to go. Get in the car and just start trucking. It's a 23-hour drive. I'm About 2 hours into it in Erie, Pennsylvania, pitch black. Absolutely pitch black. Can't see anything. I'm doing 80. Possum just ends up in the middle of the road. I wreck this possum. Sorry, buddy. My splitter ends up, gone in Pennsylvania somewhere. So if anyone found an IS300 splitter, you're welcome. And ends up being gone. I'm very happy about that. I designed it as a chassis mounted splitter. If it's going to fail anyway, I'd rather it fail and not take anything with it. Cracked the bumper a little bit, but I said, whatever, let's just keep going. Get back in and go. Fast forward another 3 hours, maybe in Virginia at this point. Gas was kind of low. I saw my chance at a gas station. I saw it. It was right there. I was like, I'll get the next one. 30 miles to the next one. Like, fuck. Nowhere to get off. So, I ran out of gas. Just ended up bloop, 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 and just made it as far as we could. Now, my lucky number is 23. Ended up in front of exit 23. Exactly in front of it. It's kind of crazy. Waited there for about 45 minutes. AAA guy came with some 80, 89, 87. Just putted it along until I found gas. Got gas. Almost ran out of gas before we got gas again. Got gas. Rest of the way was pretty drama free, except for the alternator wire coming loose a couple times. Granted, guys, I put this together myself. She was good. She really was. She had a few little things. Keep trucking. Go through Georgia, through like monsoons. Ian's driving half the time as I'm on my computer using his hotspot, doing engineering tests and engineering homework and Zooms with all that stuff. Amazing. I was able to get that done. Make it there, and it was just the line of finally get to Palm Beach International, or not PBIR, actually at Palm Beach golf club, whatever it was, like nice hotel. Make it there, look around, seeing all these crazy cars. Freaking, what I'm told is a 1200 horsepower Porsche, the ZR1 Corvette, 1700 horsepower, actual 1700 horsepower Viper, Galvo Viper, that was Zach's car, super cool car. There was the 600 horsepower 1 Series, the 700 horsepower S2000 with the J's racing motor. There was the Mustang that made like 800, but it was like a supercharged car. And I met so many great people through that. You guys were all awesome. That's how I met Dave. And Dave and I are great friends now. And, I'm thankful to everyone in that for giving me that opportunity. It was great. Obviously, I didn't have anything for them. I was just there. It was cool. But they liked it, and the people liked it. You two liked it, and I loved that, and that made me happy.
Rev it to the red line, he says. Well, I'm not really sure what the red line is. Lag, the spool.
I'm Henry Pitzer, and this is Disney Channel. I'm sorry, I just had to do it.
In general, this car is actually quite comfortable and roomy, especially considering the racing seat.
This seat sucks.
Granted, everyone had their cars trailered within 2 hours away. I drove mine 23 hours there and back. Made it, tracked it, got home. No issues. I'm proud. I thought that was amazing. Given a day of notice, my car didn't do great because it had a blown turbo gasket. It had fluid that was about 3 seasons old, brake fluid.
Planted? Super fun, yeah.
Yeah, good to
brakes
hear.
are just going bad, but
yeah,
it's kind of cool. You just got to keep it between 7 and whatever.
And it'll just...
Yeah, and it's super fun, and it's like a cool drift car.
Brake fluid that was 3 seasons old. Tanner Faust mentioned at first lap he did, he's like, man, these brakes. And then he came back and he goes, no, these brakes are great. Your fluid sucks. I'm like, thanks, I know. But he enjoyed the car, and that was so cool. Even under the circumstances, when it was a situation where it wasn't ready. But I did it anyway. And now, this has been my redemption. I wanted to finally kind of like show a car that I really actually am happy about, because there was some comments like, hey man, like why would you even bring it? Because, like you didn't. I didn't see you out there. But now this is my chance to really do it right. And I've always wanted to do it right. I didn't have the budget for it. Now, granted, I was starting a job with Lockheed in New York, and Sissy ended up giving me a call, and he's like, hey man, like, I need you to come work for me. And I'm like, doing what? He's like, media. And I'm like, I'm an engineer. And he's like, I don't care. And, you know, I moved to Georgia. Pretty much dropped everything, left the car, and just went. Kind of just said I'll figure out the rest later. Now, at this point, the car is in New York. I dropped it off to get painted, first it went to Super Life, who did all of the, that's not scratch, is it? Went off to Super Life, who ended up doing all the fiberglass work. He fixed the bumper. Not only did he fix the bumper, but he had over 35 hours in making it fit right. He molded, and I'm sure Jack will cut to it, he molded the bumper around the piping. And that's not an easy task, and it looks and it flows so well. It's very beautiful. The one off canards came out amazing. Then, you know, he refreshed the side skirts and the rear bumper, and the, you know, half the car was fiberglassed. And everything fits perfect now. This isn't fully tightened, so don't give me any shit. But everything fits perfect now. I'm still finishing the car. We have a dyno. This is before the dyno, if everyone knows. After the dyno is aero day, where I put all the aero on, I detail it, I do all the fun stuff. As of now, I'm still in testing phases, so I'm not really caring about making it super pretty. Okay, so he has the car, trailed it to Jersey, he dealt with it, he did great. Now at this point, I went back to New York, drove the car back to my paint shop, Centerline Auto Collision in Massapequa. Dom took care of me, painted the bay, painted the car, and fixed a few things, and now we're here. We welded a bunch of holes shut in here, like parts of my vision. When I came down to Georgia, I brought the motor with me. I left the car here. Brought the motor with me, and I just said, okay, it's time. So that's pretty much the point where we're at, right? Like, yeah. So car's in New York. It gets finished in paint. I'm putting the motor together. Ended up, got it on the stand, tore it apart, gave it a Kazi to start building. That took a little while in terms of just like build time for the head, because it was pretty mangled because we water jetted the head. Got back from sorted, and it was two cheeks of smoke out of the turbo. So the seals were on its way out. And I was like, okay, let's do a new turbo. Got a new turbo, and I ended up getting some deals on some cams, on some BC 264s. And I was like, let's do it. Got to the point. My engine builder at the time, WRE, John, was like, hey man, don't do cams without doing valves and, you know, the rest of the things. Springs, retainers, the fun stuff. And I was like, okay, fine. We just put a turbo on it. It was a long night, you know, there's mistakes everywhere, mostly on my end. We were tuning in at like 1 a.m. and it just was going weird. It was making like 350. It was very odd. I was like, guys, this car made 440 last time. They're all like, yeah, maybe a different dyno? I don't know, whatever. It's like, I feel like I should make some more, whatever. Car felt decent, brought it home. And then the next morning, took it for a drive. This is the day before I left for college again. Took it for a drive and started missing. I was like, okay, brought it back, parked it, and I was like, I'll figure it out when I get back. Fast forward a couple months, get back, compression test it, and the first two have 20 pounds, 20 psi. Like, all right, so the motor had to come out. We water jetted the head, motor came out, and that's when I set the car to paint. Super Life, Centerline. I brought the motor with me to Georgia, broke it down. The head was water jetted. Now it's going back to this. That was fixable. So, and then kept the block. Block was pretty much fine. Jack ended up buying that block, which would be cool for his car eventually. Give him a pretty good deal. I think that would be awesome for him eventually. And it was time to build my dream motor. You know, I had some money. I was working for Sisio. I had all the connects. I had all the deals on ins on deals on everything. So I was like, okay, it's time. And that's when the guys, I was debating. I almost bought a 3.4 liter stroker motor from Titan and traded my 1J for it in $6,000. That would have been a great deal. But the thing is, what the fuck am I going to do with a 1400 horsepower 2J? Where am I going to put a giant, like how I'm going to cut this up and do, no, it's not the car for it, you know? So I ended up buying a brand new from Toyota 2JZ GTE short block with shop pricing for $2,900, $2,950 or something like that. I'll decide later or not whether I'm going to put that in here. But that was amazing. brand new 2J. You can buy those. It showed up. You know, he was like, yeah, I'll get it. I was like, sure you will. And it just showed up after I got back from Texas 2K, and I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. Got that on the stand and just started breaking down the other motor and just taking all the good stuff, putting it on this motor. Everything down, like the motor build is as good as it can get. It's got every JZ upgrade you can absolutely think of. I will do an episode where we just go through and talk about the engine build and just go top to bottom. This isn't the one for that. I did it, and I did it for a good price, and man, it's amazing. Powder coated everything. I'm freaking stoked. This is the setup, and I can't wait to show you guys how it came together. So you guys will just have to watch the rest of the episodes for that. So stay tuned. Next week we'll be doing, what's next week? Build begins. I lost some footage. Oh yeah, I lost a card full of like 3 years of footage. I ended up getting a good amount of it back, but not all of it. So sorry about that. Hopefully you get to see a little bit of the process, how it came apart in New York and then started to go together in Georgia. Just a bumblefuck. You know, this is not easy for anyone, especially when I worked a lot, really getting used to everything. We're moving into an apartment and, you know, just getting I moved to a new state. I'm 21. You know, like, I left straight from college. I finished college, but during the first 6 months I was in Sisio, I was still finishing college remote in mechanical engineering. And I did it. And I just keep impressing myself more and more as I go. And I've learned to take it slow, be patient, and you know, good things come. And you know, now we're here. We're almost there. And you know, I can't wait to show you guys the whole process and everything we get to do with it afterwards, because this is just the beginning. You know, we get to do the cool stuff now. We get to go. I've been keeping this quiet because I just wanted to get this together so I can give you all this content all in one, and so consistently just start getting you the new stuff. It's the best sounding car ever, in my opinion. It's amazing. It sounds amazing. It looks amazing. It drives amazing. You'll see. We did everything. I built a whole new car. You know, most people when they get out of college, they treat themselves to a new car, you know, for all that money. I spent all that money, but I built it, you know, and it's mine and my own. And thank you guys for watching. And I hope that you'll be as excited, ecstatic, and maybe a little bit passionate about building your own stuff, because anybody can do it. I was just a kid that wanted to do it. I did all the research and I figured it out because I couldn't afford paying shops to do all that. You can do that too. It takes a lot of work, a lot of sadness, a lot of hard times, a lot of money. But I'm a smarter, better person from it, and I think that I've created some of the best relationships I could have in my life. And I hope that you guys get to watch along and feel that same feeling, and hopefully you get to hang out one day. We can all do this together. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Till next time.